Do 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 do. Do 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 do. That's right. It is time for another amazing show of Hell I Don't Know Who. One of these days I'm gonna learn how to sing. Y'all gonna be like, man, that dude finally put it together. I am closing out a great month of February. See, it's been so amazing. I can't even tell y'all what month it is, but it's been a very impactful beginning of 2023 for me. It is a very impactful January for me. I am closing out with a great, amazing artist, amazing person. So like I said, this has been a very impactful month for me. As you know, I start every show off with a quote. And let me get to that quote. Then let me get to my introduction. Let me get to my thank yous. And let me get to some conversation because I am a conversationalist. The quote, not to know is bad. Not to want to know is worse. That is an African proverb. It is brought to you by my guest today, who you're going to find out who it is in just a second. But good day, my good and gracious people. If this is your first time, if this is your last time, I appreciate it either way. And you know what I say, that this is a special episode. This is a special episode. You know, I say it all the time, but it's a special episode because you're here, because I'm here, and because I have a new guest here. So because we're all here, it is a special episode because it could be different. Now, I want to thank you to all of my listeners in Germany, the continent of Australia, the continent of UK, the continent of North America, and Italy. Make sure you all go to the people next to you and tell them to start listening to Hell, I Don't Know. They may miss something and they may gather something from the people I have on. The people I have on are always returning guests. You never know when they may drop back in and drop off some new information. People always drop new information here. You can find this podcast on all formats to include Pinterest. That's right. I'm even on Pinterest. You know how much stuff you can find on Pinterest. You might even find some of my guests' art on Pinterest today. You never know. This will be found also on YouTube. With that being said, let me get to what I do best. And introductions is what I do best. Right now, I want to introduce to you someone who was born in the heart of Queens, New York. But now she resides in Baltimore, Maryland. Let me back up. She was born in the heart of Queens, one of the birthplaces of hip hop. If you ain't never been to New York, you better go to New York and get your hip hop on. Start back in the days. I'm not finna start no rapping because if I start dropping bars, I may turn into a different person. Y'all know y'all see my hat backwards. I'm gonna start. I might call out some names, but I don't want to miss nobody because the New York people with their teams, they may come get you.
Yeah.
I know a little bit about New York. So, see, she already done got happy. I ain't even called her name out yet. It's because of her desire to help humanity and survive that she finds ways to heal through her creative eyes soul. She's an amazing artist. She is a pain therapist. I need some of that today. She also has holistic healer inbred in her genes from her youth. And even says she's been called, from some people that I know, from some things that I've read, a Renaissance warrior. And that is very ingenuine for her to be called because it's something you don't see a lot these days. And through the podcast today, you're going to hear why she's called that. It is my pleasure to creatively introduce to you Raj. Raj, I appreciate you being here today.
Thank you for
joining me
having
on this episode, prophetically titled I'm Art. How has everything been going for you?
Everything's been going wonderful. Again, loving what I do, helping not only just the community, but those that reach out to me, knowing and just intuitively feeling, even if they've never met me before, knowing that they're coming to the right person for what they're feeling and what the void is that they have. They know I have medicine for that. I have a remedy for that. And that's through body art. That's through the practice and the ritual of performing body art, whether it's a tattoo or a piercing. It's all about how I take care of my clients, how I take care of people. They get more of an experience than they just get a, conveyor belt experience. You're not coming to a shop where you're in and out, where it's just a fun vibe for the second and you're around a bunch of cool tatted people. No, you're really being taken care of, and then you're getting top notch quality work done by someone who's seasoned in the profession of over like 15 years now. I've ran and owned my own actual shop in art space before, where I have helped many artists in the city of Baltimore. The motto is turning starving artists into entrepreneurship, because you're artist doesn't mean you got to be starving. And I never found that whole starving artist look or concept cute. I think we all deserve to, make good money doing whatever we want to do. It should be available and it should be viable for all of us. So that's some of the things I'm about wrapped in the little role there.
Y'all see what she did there? She from Queens, living in Baltimore. She still said rap. She still said rap. She dropped a bunch of bars inside of her dialogue. That's awesome. You can't
Thank you.
leave where you was born at.
Yeah.
If you've never watched this show, I usually ask 3 questions. That was my first one. So my next one is, how are you doing mentally?
Mentally, thank you for asking me. Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down, but it's never too far down, because humanity needs me and people need me. So I need to make sure that my cup personally is as full as possible so that I can give back. Yeah, mentally, I feel good about what I offer, and that stimulates my mental health in a good way when I see other people feeling better from what I'm giving to them, and then if everybody's vibration is lifted, then, we all have a better day. Because the collective conscious is real. You walk outside, everybody's got a pissy attitude, smile at them, offer them something. You know what I'm saying? Give them a little bit of, of that goodness. Let it rub off so we can all feel better. We all feel better. The planet feels better. And the energy of wherever you're at feels better. It's a collective effort, but it does start with us individually. So I work on myself every day. It's an everyday effort to, continue to be mentally well. I inject my mind early in the morning and throughout the day with, positivity. I watch a lot of sermons. I watch a lot of motivational speakers. I watch a lot of people who talk about different spiritualities that are out there. And I'm not attached to any of them. But I draw from everything as long as it's good and positive and for the betterment of humanity moving forward from where we're at.
You're feeding your soul and you're feeding your positivity at the same time while helping others. Because it's something I do. I also listen to study. I listen to positive outcomes. Also flip negative sayings into positive sayings, so people have different ways to look at things instead of just always looking at the negative aspect of it. So my next question is, I think you answered it, is how do you manage that? Because even though we have good days, how do you manage the good days and the bad days, and just to keep your perspective of good and bad days on an even keel scale? How do you do that?
Um, on days where I know I can usually kind of sense before the day starts, like what load I'm gonna have to deal with for the day. I can see it coming a mile away, so I prepare myself with the armor. And my armor is the affirmations that I give myself and the ones that I've learned. My armor is continuing to smile. Um, Situations, life is always going to happen. We are never going to get that long, smooth period of time where it's just all going right. Something's going to happen. And life wouldn't be interesting without it. God does that intentionally. So with that said, what I do on the hardest days, I just push more of that stuff in my brain harder. You know, anytime I find myself possibly saying something slightly negative to my human experience, I turn that right around and change the language. I just move with even more intention on those days, and I think and operate with more intention on those days.
I like that. You said your human experience because that's exactly what this is. Because I take it one day at a time. I call my next few years are actually my next few moments because each moment I get
Yeah,
is like a new year to me. So that's exactly how I see it. You have to be at a certain point in your life to understand that. Because that if I can't even plan for the next few moments, no more than I can plan for the next few years. I appreciate your perspective on those three questions. Hopefully, someone is listening, got something from that. With that, it sets a basis for me to ask, um, who is Raj? And hope I do not butcher this name, even though I practiced it so much. But butchering names is my job sometimes, and then sometimes I get them right. Awajra is, I think I got that right. If not, you let me know. But I was close. I was close. Close. Now,
yeah.
see, I told you I was right. Yeah. Now, who is Awajra? That's a beautiful name, by the way. Cummins
Thank you.
Martin, which Awajra is, if I'm guessing right, is where Raj comes from. But who is Raj compared to Awajra Cummins Martin?
Okay. Raj is more I'm affectionately known. That's my nickname. I'm affectionately known as, really, here in Baltimore. Nobody in New York knows me like Raj. Who's that? But here in Baltimore, it's Raj. You know how people, when they want to get close to you, especially in our culture, we like to come up with little nicknames. It ain't even just because it's hard to pronounce. People just want to have their own little name they just call just for you. So I
Yep.
allowed that once I understood that. And I said, Raj is cool. We can stick to that one. Even though I do understand that names hold power, and my name was given to me very intentionally, and I don't want to take power away from my full name. But Raj is a nice, affectionate, short name that gives people some kind of personability with me. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be so formal, to where as though it puts some kind of wall up between me and other people. I want to be relatable. I want people to feel some level of comfort with me. Call me Raj. But my full name is Arajua Amadama. That's my middle name. And it's Ghanaian. My name means princess born on a Monday. It's from the Ashanti people of Ghana. So that's what my mom and my dad named me. And yeah, when I'm doing things like this, or putting myself, in the more public eye in any kind of way, I prefer people know and hold my power with my real full name. But Raj is just something that I allow people to affectionately call me. And the difference between a Rajua and Raj is the more relatable, young woman who's more so the tattoo artist and the piercer. But when it comes to my art, my visual art, and it comes to any other business dealings or communication dealings, it's a Rajua.
So it's safe to say because I have several nicknames back home too. And it's funny because as you have several, you know the different people that call you those names. And when someone that don't know you by that name call you by the name, you're like, oh, hold on, partner, hold on. You know that's not the name I gave you or allowed you to call me by. And so it's just different when it rolls off the tongue because you know it doesn't sound right when someone that's not in that family for that name calls you by that different name. So it's funny that you explained it that way. Uh, I like the way you said I'm affectionately known because it gives a different connotation to it because it means approachable and it gives a different level to it because it it's I'm gonna say it's a growth aspect to it. Because
Yeah.
if you just say, "Hey, I'm known by Raj," but when you say I'm affectionately known by Raj, it means you've done some growing in that name.
Yeah, definitely. Between growth as in just growing as a businesswoman, I'm an artist, but I'm a businesswoman first, and because without being a businesswoman first, I can't put myself in positions, to do things like podcasts, to do things like art shows, or to do things like maybe set up meetings with the mayor and the curator of the city hall about my art. I did that last week, so without a certain professionalism, that I grew into through experience and through being trained, a little bit, groomed a little bit by some mentors I had along the way. And that made a big difference. So, Raj to Arajua, or Arajua to Raj, there's been a lot of growth, you know, there's been growth from all that. That's kind of helped me develop into the woman I am now, who moves, speaks, acts, and does the way does now.
You have to have that growth. You can't stay the same. Without
No.
that growth, you without that growth, you look at everything the same. But with that growth, you start to see things differently. I use a sentiment: you can always go home to visit, but it's not until you start leaving that you start seeing things differently.
Oh yeah.
Which brings me to the African proverb that I got off your bio: "Not to know is bad; not to want to know is worse." Uh, when did
Right.
you first come across that African proverb?
You said, when did I first come across it?
Yes.
It was in one of the books. My parents read a lot of very high spiritual, important books that you can't even buy anymore, so when and they passed away, but when they did, I have both of their libraries with me at my home. So, and these are things they taught me since I was 3 years old. So something like that, I draw from a lot of Chinese proverbs and African proverbs. That kind of proverb speaks to always knowing that you're a student, and don't be dumb enough to think you got it all figured out, because the moment you do, that's when God puts something in front of you to show you you really don't know nothing. And He's going to take you on a whole journey and experience. Might drag you through the mud, but that's the point. So now you know, and now remember, you don't know everything. But as you go and move through life, you learn more. And always be open to be a student, because a man who thinks he knows everything really knows nothing. So is the man that speaks too much.
Yep.
That's
That is
definitely a
so true.
thing. I wanted
That
to
is so
share
true.
with you my
Go ahead.
tattoo on my throat. It's a scarab beetle. I don't know if you can see it.
I can see it.
Damn it.
I didn't know it was a scarab beetle though.
Damn it.
What makes it a scarab beetle?
Well, because that's what it is. It's a scarab beetle on my neck. But what it means, it's called kepra, and that's going by the more Kemetic, spiritual side, ancient Egyptian Kemetic side of spirituality, and that represents transformation. So I just felt like that correlated to what you were just saying, about growth. That's why I have this on my neck, because I am really a student of life, and I'm like excited about it. I'm like somebody who's uber excited and here for the adventures. I don't take much personally. I don't take much to heart. I just see life as a movie unfolding in front of my eyes. And this helps me remember that transformation is inevitable, and the only thing that is constant on this plane of existence is change. you know
This planet will always evolve before and after us. It's going to continue to evolve. Uh, you spoke about Ghana. How often or have you been there? How often have you been able to go back?
Oh, you said New
Or
York?
have you been Ghana? Have you been there?
To New York? Yeah.
To Ghana.
Oh, to Ghana?
Ghana. You said yeah.
No, I've never been. But I keep hearing because of the name I was given, a lot of people will like be like, "Oh, Arajua," because it's like a Ashley, but for like bougie people when they name their kids names or something. Like it's actually not that uncommon in Ghana, but it's only like, certain fancy people name their kids that. So
It's like a Timothy or a John or a Ashley or a Brittany in the States, or something like that.
with a little
Gotcha.
accent on the end of it or something. So I thought I would like to see that phenomenon. I want to see what that's going to look like if and when I go there, what that would look like for me. But I would love to go.
I asked because it's a thing now because you see, I think Dave Chappelle just went to Ghana, and it was an
Hmm.
experience for him. And when you mentioned your name, I'm like, oh, I wonder if she's been. I've never been to Africa, but it's one of the things on my list of places because I travel a little bit. So it's one of the things on my list of places to go, not just go to one country, but see all of them. I think the main thing when people go to Africa is, oh, I want to go to Egypt, and then they come back, but they don't go to the other the countries in Africa.
That's a
So I
whole
want to go
continent.
see different places.
You
Yeah,
know what
that's
I
what I'm saying. I
mean?
want to go see different places in Africa. So when you
Yeah.
mentioned Ghana, it's one of the ones I want to see also. So I have my list of things that I want to check out. Uh, Going back to quotes, I also have another one. I want to ask about. Let me make sure I get this right.
Hmm.
Uh, the artist must bow to the monster of his own imagination by Richard Wright. How does that speak to you? Because that's another quote I saw on your page.
Say that one again.
The artist must bow to the monster of his own imagination by Mr. Richard Wright. How does that quote speak to you?
Oh yeah, I love that quote. I believe people should tap into their dark side, their shadow side, and don't be uninhibited with it. And the best way to do that is put it on some kind of parchment, put it on some kind of something that you can draw on and look back at and see the reflection of yourself speaking back to you. And that stirs a conversation with self. You know what I mean? Through art. You're just looking at yourself, the shadow version of yourself through your art, and you're being able to see a reflection of yourself to start studying yourself more you know so
Mm-hmm.
that was my main reason for liking that quote.
It's a magnificent quote. I liked it too. It's one because when I saw it, I'm like, man, that says a lot. Because your imagination is everything you have, but you have to believe in it and not let someone take it from you. So you mentioned
Absolutely.
your parents. How impactful were your parents on you? How impactful were your parents on you?
Oh, how impactful were my parents.
Mm-hmm.
They are my everything. My parents were my everything. They are my everything.
Can
My parents are the entire reason why I'm the kind of person I am right now. Like I am the product of what the two of those kind of powerful people look like, and what it looks like when their genes come together and create a whole new, like, upgraded version of themselves. I'm so serious. My mother was an astrologer for 45 years, and she got a lot of respect from the Anthropology Society of Egypt, and all those guys out there. They found my mom very interesting. She was in the process of writing 3 books because she had discovered some interesting unknown facts about the pyramids, all of them, not just the 3 ones in Giza, about all of them, and how they were able to make some of those hard stones smooth. She figured out some things that they were unaware of, but that they had some sort of proof through artifacts that she might have been right. And that was a big, big deal. But she had died
That's
before
amazing.
she could really complete any of that kind of stuff. Me and her were supposed to go to Egypt and, meet all these people and all this other stuff. But and my dad, he was a grandmaster at six different forms of martial arts. And he was, as my mother was a high priest, my dad was a high priest. She was a high priestess. He was a high priest in the Asara set, which is a comedic based spirituality and way of life. So their influence, like the moment he told me about Kepra and the beetle, I got it on my throat like the next month. Like the way my dad explained it, it just blew me away. So their influence and impact is everything that I am today.
You started martial arts at 12, correct? Was
Hmm.
it 12? When did you start learning martial arts?
Oh, since I was 3. I was
3?
doing push-ups on my knuckles when I was 3. Yeah, meditating at 3. Oh yeah, my dad wasn't playing with me, and really his discipline, because my mother was a new mom and she was a little older and she had businesses. So my mother always had businesses my whole life, so she didn't always have the patience. But my dad, because of his strict, very, you only meet them kind of people once in a lifetime. He was very different, and his discipline is kind of what saved me from going like left completely, and I was able to, calm down and make better decisions off of the strength of his discipline and his spiritual way of life.
What do you remember from the knuckle push-ups at 3? What are some of your thoughts of having to do those knuckle push-ups at 3?
Oh, I think that's an excellent idea. I think people should make their children do that. I mean, not all children can do that, but give it a shot. I think that kind of discipline is important. And yes, it hurts. Yes, they cried. I cried. I got over it. And then I got used to it. And I started thinking it was cool that I was a 7-year-old girl that could do push ups on my 20 of them on my knuckles. And it never messed my hands up. So,
That's amazing. That's amazing. Every time I see my nephew, I'll be like, hey, get out and do 5 push-ups. Get out and do 5
5.
push-ups.
You know
Yeah,
what I
because you'll
mean?
need it later
Yeah.
on.
Get them
You'll need it
started
later on. They
young.
don't know how impactful that is. Tell me about your training with holistic healing, because you said your mother had all this nice training, and it's because of uh, the training your mother had and the discipline your father had that creates some holistic healing for you as a youth to be able to fall back on as an adult to who you are now. So looking back on that as a kid, do you think that it was going to be as impactful in your life now when you was first getting that from both of them?
I did. I did. Like, when I mean I had different kind of parents, they were different. And I knew that I was so happy to have them. And I knew that I was going to grow up different. I felt very protected in being different like them, and I knew that they had my back in my differentness when I started to learn what they were teaching me and really truly take it in all the way. And I started talking to other people about it. Like, they were really good backup for me whenever people thought I sounded crazy. And I was never wrong. So the holistic healing stuff, honestly, that just came from my upbringing of how I was being fed. Like, my parents, my dad didn't keep sugar in the house. We didn't have salt.
Yeah,
We didn't do none of that. He didn't do none of that. He had a fridge full of beans and vegetables and a few couple of fruits. He didn't play none of that. So his diet was so strict, but it was so fulfilling that I just got used to it, and it was just something that I thought everybody did. And then I started seeing people eating like fast food every day, and even just the way they combine their food groups. I'm like, that does not go with that, you know. And I was born and raised a vegan, you know, so that is
That's what I was
something
going to
that
say. Now that would be called vegan lifestyle.
you're right. This was a vegan lifestyle
Yeah.
now.
Back then it'd just be called good eating. Now it's called vegan lifestyle.
You're right. Yeah, that's that whole separation and divide technique, you know. But yeah, veganism has always been a part of my life. I'm not a vegan now, but I cook vegan food and I don't keep certain things in my house, so it just created balance for me. And how that translated into the body art in my practice as a piercer is I'm able to like look at skin and problematic situations with a piercing or a tattoo, and I can tell people exactly what's wrong with their skin based on the holistic practice healing and the things my mother and father taught me. I know what certain things look like already, so I can diagnose people before a doctor can. You know, they don't even have to go. I'll be like, okay, well, let me go whip something up in the kitchen and draw that bacteria at your skin. And then you use this. I set up a whole kit for them and they get real
Old
results. And
school
these
medicine.
people, like, they come to me for this stuff. You know, I have
That's that
experience.
old school medicine.
Yo, I think I really should have been a
Yeah.
doctor. You know, I went to school for law, but, you know, and I'm an artist because I want to be, but I should have went to school to be, I think, like a plastic surgeon or a holistic practitioner or something. But in addition to some of just the regular services I offer, I try not to forget it. I'll say it. I am experienced with bullet extraction. I do sutures very well. Um, I do like earlobe reconstruction if people have like torn earlobes from heavy earrings, you know, back in the 80s and shit. And I fix their earlobes for them, you know, like I used a little bit of like extreme first aid skills that I have and I apply it to my practice.
You can see a lot of the earlobe extractions and the fixes on her Instagram page. A lot of the work that she's done and the practices that she's done on the Instagram page. Uh, you want to give them your Instagram page
Yes, my
where they can see all the
Instagram
work that you do?
handle is at with the at sign POX underscore arts 2019. That's where you can find me. And you can DM me. That is really me answering DMs. Yep.
So you spoke about your law degree. You got that from the University of Baltimore, but what epiphany gave you the idea to switch to a brick and mortar business?
Switch to
Brick and mortar business.
oh,
Why did you switch to a brick and mortar business?
well, because I was already going to school for business. So it's like open a business. You know, you get the most experience, all that stuff in them books. You can read them books anytime. You can go buy those on your free time and read those. And then if you want, you can have somebody regurgitate the information to you. That's what the classes was for. You know, and I figured after a certain amount of semesters, I just finished online because I was running down to UB and I had a brick and mortar shop while I was going to classes and I had a full staff. I'm like, look, y'all take care of my business. Don't burn my building down. I got to go to class. I'll walk all the way up there to UB and when take do my class, walk all the way back down, take some of my clients, make sure everything was right with my peoples, and then I shut down shop. But it got to a point where that was just becoming too much. And I'm like, oh, I'm forget the school part. Like, I'll just finish that online. I don't need to, like, you know, run myself ragged. And quite frankly, I almost just quit the classes altogether because what's better than experience? Millionaires don't usually have degrees and went to school. Like, you know, that's a
Dropped out
different
of high
kind of
school.
rat race. That is an
Yep.
illusion. So I don't really feed into it too much, but the whole law thing came about because of my mother's influence. She really felt like, I mean, you want to be a body modifier when you grow up. Why don't you throw something a little more substantial on there that adds to society as a whole, in general, not for a specific niche like that. So that's what I did. I'm currently, I will allow myself to be hired as a paralegal. I'm really good with that kind of work. If people, I don't give legal advice, but if people need help with documents and all that, I have experience with all practices of law except criminal. I don't get into criminal. So I do
It's sticky
estates,
business.
trusts, wills, custody, things like that, business contracts, real estate contracts, especially. So
So
yeah,
the business and law degree you got actually benefits you in the long run and a lot of people that you set out to help, because the contracts and the paralegal work is the hard work to find. It's easy to find criminal lawyers and criminal information, but it's hard to find those people that would just help you read those business contracts and not try to be set up with the people that's actually writing the contracts. So
right.
it's interesting that you actually got something that's beneficial, especially where you are now, and the amount of work that you do for all of the people that you do. Um, I would be doing a disservice if I didn't mention that since 2009, you have been the top piercer in Baltimore, and that's almost like
Yes.
14 years.
Yeah.
Uh, Going back to speaking about Harlem, and they're having a 15-year anniversary. 14 years, you're a renaissance yourself with 14 years. What's that like to think about it in that aspect?
Um, well, I mean, it lets me know that that's a milestone. If they got that going on 15 years, okay, I got this going on 15 years. Like, damn, I'm really doing something. That's a milestone. And that lets me know that, I can't be bumped out of position like that's mine. You know what I mean? Like I stamped that. I did that. That's all me right there. And nobody can do nothing with it. They can't take that cuz this whole city, East, West Baltimore, they all know that Raj is the one you come to for the piercings. If you want it done right, this is who you go to. And I mean, people will follow me wherever the hell I go. If I leave Baltimore, people going to be sad and mad at me, you know. So I have a lot of people here in this city know me just for poking holes. But I look at it more than that because it's my vibe and it's the experience that I offer that they don't get anywhere else. And people want to feel good about where they're coming to spend their money. They don't just want it to spend it because they know the service is just good, but how you make people feel when they come and then when they leave. Did they leave better than when they came? And that's important to me.
That's the same thing I have here at the Hell I Don't Know podcast. I want people to get a different vibe, and it's not like people haven't been interviewed before. I just want the vibe of being interviewed to be more of a conversation and not a talk to. A lot of interviews, you get talked to. Okay, let me do these questions. I just did these questions like 5 or 6 times before,
Right.
but I like to bring something different to my questions, and it's like an actual conversation. And it's I'll let you finish. Your conversation is when two people are talking. One person is listening, the other person is listening, and it's dialogue. And it's like
Yes.
open dialogue to where we're actually concerned about what each other are saying. And it's not like, hey, hold up a minute, I don't agree with that. And
Yes.
disagreements happen inside of conversation. And the hell I don't know is because conversations go and they go in the direction of hell, I don't know. And that's just the way it is. Because I can't sit here and I can write questions out. And those questions are just questions that I would normally ask. But I don't get upset if they don't go that way. I just be like, okay, that's cool. That mean they already answered that? Then great. I got other questions I can ask, because I know conversation is not dictated by what I put on paper. It's dictated by how we talk to each other.
Yeah.
So that's why my format, my format is not Kevin Hart's format. It's not Shannon Sharp's format, but it's my format. And that's why I like to do it live. I like to do it like I want to do it. And I tell people all the time when they're asking in podcast groups, they're like, "Hey, what do I need to do?" And people tell them, "Don't listen to nobody." And I just tell them, I said, "Be you,
Be
be you."
you. It's a
I said, "Find out what
conversation.
works for you." Yeah, I said, "Find out what works for you and do it." That's all you have to
Mm-hmm.
do. Find out what works for you and do it. Because I watch other people how they podcast. I watch talk shows how they're conversating with each other, because that's me doing some research. Even when I get bios about other people, I'm still looking up and doing like, would this be a good question? How would I transition from this if they say that? How would I add this to make it flow? How can I make this be not disrespectful of a question by asking it in this? And how would I want to end it versus how I want to start it? So that's how I try to make my format different in the ways that I like it to be. And if they don't like it, then they ain't got to listen to it.
Hey, it's that simple.
Yeah, they ain't got to listen to it. Speaking of piercings, how many tats do you have?
Um, I have
And how
about
many?
65% of my body covered. I don't have like tattoos that you can count. I have very large bodies of work. So,
So did they start off as single, or did you just go straight for like what a normal person would call a sleeve?
I started off with a really tiny African symbol that means strength on like this
Okay.
my side, like on my left side right here. I'm like my hip, on my lower hip, and it's like this small. And I was like, oh, that's what a tattoo feels like. I'm like, well, let's go, let's do this shit. So I ended up getting like swirls on my shoulder. I got an onk on my leg, but it got done by like this crackhead that I knew at the time because he was a mutual friend of all my like punk mutual friends. And he tattooed okay, so I knew I wasn't gonna get an infection. He charged me like $20 for everything. So you know how that goes. And I still have those tattoos because he ain't do a terrible job. And then slowly, as I became up with more like spiritual concepts that I knew spoke to me and my soul's purpose here, those are the things I'll get inked on my body. So I don't really have anything on me that's kind of like just for fun. You know, everything on me it means something, but about 60% of my body, the whole entire left side of me, like the arm, this is the end of it. This piece starts all the way at the bottom of the my left side, left thigh, and it's one piece that goes all the way up this side of my body. It was supposed to be entered into a competition at the convention that a buddy of mine's shop was like, you know, there, and he wanted to enter my piece, but we didn't finish it in time. So, but that was cool either way. My whole throat's tattooed. The whole top of my stomach is tattooed. And I have a lot of leg tattoos. You know, I have the goddess Kali on my right thigh. And you know, the Kali is an Indian goddess of death, destruction, and renewal. So that give you an idea of the kind of like, you know, principles I go by. Some of the
Yep.
things that I stand for are kind of hardcore too. They may seem a little dark, but they're very important, you know, and they're important things to know and understand because they're the things that we all forget. But in order for change to happen, something has to be destroyed first. So I believe in the whole Phoenix Rising concept and things like that.
So what is the Points of Expression LLC mission?
You said, what does that stand for?
What is the mission of Points of Expression?
Points of expression. Okay. So what made me even call it that, like points, you have point of views. So you have points of views about how people express themselves that makes us all unique, but that makes us all the same. So that's one of the reasons why I came up with that name. The other less like deep reason is like needles are pointy. So pointy needles, use them to express yourself with piercings and tattoos. So that's how that's what that means to me.
That makes a lot of sense. Since you explained it, it makes a lot of sense. Um, I read a post where you said, I want to be remembered as an authentic human being with grace and unconditional love for mankind. I want people to know that I valued all life on earth. Lastly, I want to be known as a Black woman who changed lives with art and the healing of the body with my artistic abilities and gifts. This is empowering to me because I have the same mindset. When did your knowledge for that passage become so forefront for you?
When I realized that I was doing that the whole time, and if I wasn't doing that the whole time, like certain projects and things I was doing was working towards that without me knowing it. It's like I'll do things and God is guiding me. There's a force within me and on top of my crown that is guiding me. And I'm not always knowing. I can't explain it, but I know I'm supposed to do it. So I let spirit ride my back through a lot of things. And then I figure out the reasons afterwards. So it was one of those things like I was up late, like 3 in the morning. I wake up at 3 every morning. And they call those the witching hours. The peak of your creative mind is around that time. So I let it flow. And that was one of the things that flew into my mind. And I flew it down and wrote it down on some paper.
I love it. A lot of my thoughts and quotes come at all types of hours, and I'm glad I got the iPhone because I can take the notes down and put them in there, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
lose them. Even when I'm asleep, I still remember them sometimes when I wake up. Looking back at your life, you can see that young Raj looking at you now saying, work, build it, pay it forward. But I want to ask, have you ever looked at Raj 5 to 10 years from now and looking at that young Raj? What are you telling her?
You did a wonderful job and you pushed through those hurdles instead of folding, even though it hurt sometimes. You said, let me get my ass up and do it anyway. No matter how much it hurt, no matter how many anxiety attacks, no matter how many depression, downward spirals I went through, no matter how many negative people were around me and I couldn't control it at the time, like whatever it was, it's like I just said, no, no, I want better. I'm going to have better. And whatever it takes. It's going to hurt a little bit, but you're going to get what you want. Ain't nothing good worth having if it didn't hurt a little bit to get it. It ain't low hanging fruit. It's not just going to fall in your lap. You're going to hurt a little for it. You got to earn it somehow. So, yeah, let's say good job done. And never forget that you are a student because there's more to come.
That's beautiful. Now, you have an event coming up February
Yes.
24th through the 26th, Harlem Renaissance in New York, New York. Listen to your
Yeah.
dreams and everything in New York ain't always what it seems. You might get, my bad, my bad. I told y'all that hip hop, it be in your
Yeah, them
soul so
bars is
deep,
coming.
it just be coming out. And even if you can't sing, that harmony still be getting you. But tell me about uh, it, and it's not just any event because the name Harlem, as we both know, carries a lot of weight that the newer generation might not realize. And even when I say Renaissance warrior, the name Harlem carries weight with Renaissance.
Yeah, it
So
does.
to you, being able to be in the 15-year anniversary event, as a Renaissance warrior yourself, what does it actually mean to you to be in this Harlem event that's happening?
It means I'm about to blow their minds. That's what it means. It means I'm about to bring some cultural nutrition. I'm about to bring a different kind of authenticity that they've never seen before on a, a little short, beautiful black woman who is authentic in her, ethnic identities, and that has a strong, piercing personality, but I'm very sweet and kind. I am going to bring cultural nutrition, and it's going to look different. And I'm bringing something during Harlem is Renaissance. You know what I mean? That is where the music and the culture and the dances from way back, our ancestors, you know, I haven't seen talent like that since they did it. To be honest with you, nobody could have did it better than them. They were born at the right time, you know.
Yep.
And the cultural nutrition is what I'm gonna bring, and the kind of canvas art that I create, and the way and my ability to eloquently explain things and give it understanding and help people understand what it means so now they can develop their own interpretations. It's just mind blowing. People need things that's going to blow their mind, stimulate their mind, and make them smile and feel good.
I love your verbiage, because as you're so eloquently spoken, and
Thank
it
you.
shows the dedication that your parents put in to create such a gift to the world, which is Raj. Everything that they went through is credited with the person that they knew you not would become, but the person that you are, as they
Respect.
see it. Uh, I am seeing it, and I hope the world, well, I'm not going to hope the world. I know the world is paying attention to it. And as they pay attention to it, my blessing for you is that as you walk by, everyone you walk by, whether they see it or not, they're still getting the drippings of the blessings from your cup that is running over as you pass by them. Raj, I appreciate you taking the time to stop by and talk to me today. Even though
Yes.
I was in pain during the entire show, you still
Oh,
bared with me. You still was concerned about my well-being, but I still powered through it because I love the conversations. And the pain is only an aspect of your mind if you're willing to power through it. Uh,
thank
Anytime
you.
you need something from me, please let me know. I do look forward to speaking with you in the future, working with you again. If you have anything to promote, please take the time to do so now. The time is yours. And then when you're done, I will close it out.
All right, everybody, just hit me up on Instagram. That's the best way. That's the platform I like to use. Again, POX underscore arts, ARTS 2019. Write it on a piece of paper, put it in your phone, look me up, follow me, DM me if you want to make an appointment, if you want art, if you would like to view my art, if you want to just connect. That's what I'm here for. I'm here for the culture. So I appreciate the time.
Appreciate it. The closing quote comes from your host, me, and it says, "Truly speaking, tomorrow is not given, nor is our next moment. My next few years I consider to be each new moment I get." That is a Tedyism. I appreciate y'all stopping by.
Ashe.
Hopefully, something said today has been impactful to not just you, the one that are listening, but to someone you're going to share it with. Remember to subscribe to uh, anything Raj has going on. I am on all formats. Subscribe to both of us, because we can't be at the next level without your support. And
That's
without your
right.
support, we can't help you get to the next level, because with all of our support, we all can win. Thank you. That is our show. I'll see you when I see you. Oh, yeah. My new favorite ending is, in the immortal words of the people standing in a hotel lobby, next time I see you, I'm going to say, let's get it.
Let's get it. Good to see you.